Low Targar friends, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Orc Mode workout, and today is Max Effort Press Day. This was interesting. It's about as Orc Mode as we can get, but remember guys, you need to click like down below. For those of you who watch these vlogs every day, help me keep the likes higher than the dislikes. Only you guys can do that. We don't always achieve that, so please do that if you watch these. Now, I knew this was going to be hard, specifically because we know my triceps are my weak link on my press. We know that based upon what we saw the other day when I tried to do the first heavy press in a long time, hit 225, and just struggled grinding it. Also a reminder for people who come in and say, Jason, you're not locking out. That is my lockout. And yes, it's shoulder mobility. I do shoulder mobility work every single day, 7 days a week, and I'm still seeing no improvement. I've been doing it for something like 5 weeks straight now. So it is what it is. So this was grindy, and I only have 33 pounds of chains. 185 with 33 chains was grindy, and then I struggled to re-rack it. People say, why? What's going on? It pulls you off balance. It pulls you out of your groove because those chains, it is difficult. It's awkward. I like it though. I mean, you talk about learning to have to overhead press in an unstable, hard environment to try to stay tighter. It's one heck of a tool, and I think I'll have fun with it. I'm going to mess with the football bar. I'm going to mess with chains. We're going to mess with other stuff. Build up all the weak points on my press. Get used to pressing overhead against awkward loads. It's different. It's different, and it's fun. You know, because this is kind of my different day. I mean, the other 3 days in a row, we have a squat day, a bench day, a deadlift day, and then we have the press day, and then we repeat the cycle. The press day is more of my fun day. Yeah, we get all the accessory stuff, but it's like, let me find awkward, weird stuff to press to a max overhead. It's where I really get to do something different, break up any of the monotony in my training, potentially, even though there's not really any there, because I already do all these different chain lifts and stuff. But I want to use it to have fun and get stronger at just pressing in general, which will carry over to my benching. And it gives my benching muscles and shoulders and everything a bit of a break from heavy benching, you know, every other day. Then I only have to do it every fourth day while keeping my rotation and still building all the musculature involved with different pressing. But yeah, the football bar was already humbling. The chains, those were humbling. And I know my triceps are weak link, but I felt my upper chest, my front delts, everything on that because I got pulled out of my groove. I got pulled out of my groove by the chains. But we have to learn to groove, don't we? Right? We don't make excuses. We don't make excuses and say, well, I was just out of my groove. No, I got pulled out of my groove. And you know what? I'm going to have to adapt. I'm going to have to get stronger and learn to just get tighter and groove better on the press. So up next, we did our football bar incline. My first set of these always hurts my shoulder a hair till I find the groove. And then once I find it, it goes away completely pain-free the rest of the sets. And it's because, again, having to find how far to get the thing from the safety so I can keep a certain bar path. But yeah, so I went up to the 185 today. I cranked out 13 reps on the final set. I've just been doing 10s, and then we pause and we try to go for a bit of an M rep on the final one to see how much I need to increase. We need to go up to 195 next time. And this is one of these lifts that you know, eventually if I can get strong on, I think it'll carry over to everything. Carry over to my overhead press, carry over to my flat bench, right? And, you know, building upper chest and shoulders in general is never a bad thing. Although we could argue the football bar gives it more tricep work added, but I don't feel in my triceps. Honestly, it feels like the top half of my chest and my interior deltoids. It's all I really feel on this. But, you know we've got to get all the tricep work in, so we're going to do triceps every upper body day anyways. 5 sets of extensions, because we know if I'm going to mess with some closer grip benching again, we know triceps better get built up. In addition to all the chest and delts. We know they're the weak link on my overhead pressing, so if I can build my triceps up, and it allows all my overhead pressing to go up, including my volume work, my shoulders will get bigger too. It's a win-win. But we know for the press, I'm going to be stuck at a 225 max press. For those not familiar, press means the strict standing press, right? The overhead press, 225. I'm going to be stuck there till my triceps get stronger. And we know that, and until I learn to groove better. So I'm going to have to bring those puppies up. But the incline helps with all these too. The incline really seems to help a lot more, I would think, with the more awkward versions. When you go to chains, you need your upper chest. When you mess with the football bar, you need that upper chest. But again, it's one of the best interior deltoid exercises. Great upper chest. And it's a little easier to recover from than a lot of my bench day chest pressing. Because we are forced to use a lighter weight. Now people argue your lower chest isn't hitting as much. My lower chest gets beat up every 4 days. Look at the volume I do on things like floor presses and flies. So after we max bench, we get 10 sets from my lower chest. It's a lot. Then I did my axial bar press today. These were a little harder. I don't think I got 15 on anything. They were like 12 to 14. Most of them around 14. I think it's a little more fatigued today, right? That press, especially when I went up, because even the one I missed, I just had nothing left. People like, what'd you have on there? I had a 10 pounds, 195. It stuck up at my face. As soon as I hit those chains, I was done, because that grinder kind of took everything in my head. Even my quads had to contract and cramp a little bit trying to lock it when it pulled out of its groove with the chain swinging. So I feel like my shoulder girdle was a hair more fatigued between that going up on the incline. These were a little challenging today. So it's fine. I'll work with this weight. As long as we're getting pretty well limit sets, we're getting fatigue built up, practicing overhead pressing. And the nice perk with the axial bar is a lot of people know you feel a little more tricep. Okay, that's a good thing. Because again, this is all about shoulders, upper chest, triceps today. And we need to build the whole shoulder girdle. That's why we're doing Facepulls. So we're doing those every upper body day. All right, we need to keep all of that healthy, my whole shoulder girdle healthy. I feel like all this overhead pressing, incline, other stuff, that's going to build on my front delts. A lot of the shoulder girdle. Heavy focus on the pendlay rows for the rear delts, and then the Facepulls work the entire shoulder. They work side delts, rear delts, traps. I think by finishing all these upper body days with them, because that's every other day for 5 sets, I think that's going to really kind of fill my shoulders out the way I need. It's shoulder safe. It's a prehab exercise. A lot better. So with these, though, again, I was more fatigued. So again, I wasn't quite hitting 15, because I think last time I only hit 15 on like one set, and they were all like 13 to 14. I think on this one, my final set ended up being about 12 reps. I got 14 on the first couple. Then I think it was like 13 on the fourth, and like 12 or so. I lost count when I'm doing them. Maybe about 12 on the final set. And notice I varied my grips throughout this. I kind of start with different grips. A lot of times I end up grabbing it narrow or accidentally the first set, because I'm used to overhead pressing narrow. I'm stronger that way. But it feels like on this axial bar, I'm a little stronger with the wider grip. And, you know, the whole point that comes over with the overhead, again, I've had people try to say, well, if you can't quite lock because your shoulders overhead, why bother to do it? Because it is a phenomenal exercise, even if I seem to potentially have structural limits, because the mobility work doesn't ever seem to help. I keep doing it in the hopes that it will work, and shoulder stretching and mobility and everything else. And maybe as I get my rear delts and stuff stronger with all the posterior work for that, that'll help. But there's no point not doing it. You know, it's silly to not do an exercise. It would be like if you had a hip structure that stopped you from squatting more than 1 inch above parallel. And when you could just stop and just sit there for a minute and hold it, because as you're sitting kind of on your hip structure, saying, well, I'm just never going to squat and get the benefits of squatting because of that. That would be dumb, right? So I'm going to do the exercise. Phenomenal exercise. Great test of strength. Great developer of strength. Of course, we're going to keep doing it. And we did our tricep extensions, and I feel like for now, these are more or less in the weight I want. I got like 18 or 19 on the first set with this, which is technically a strength increase, but the second through fifth set, the strength fades quick. I was in the 15 to 16 range for the remainder of sets, pretty much doing them to failure. And again, for those curious, why pick this exercise? Well, because it works all 3 heads of the tricep, and we get the long head involved. People could argue, well, does the long head matter for your bench? Probably not. Arguably, it contributes very little to the bench. It contributes to the overhead press. And I want the overhead press to get strong too. But it does work the heads also, the medial and the lateral, that we know are going to contribute to my bench. So I'm just working the entire tricep, making sure I'm getting tricep development. My triceps need to get bigger. And any tricep development when I'm trying to bench more and overhead press more and be more jacked, there's no such thing as overdeveloping any head of the tricep. You can't go, well, maybe that head doesn't get used as much as the bench, so don't worry about it. Well, I'm just going to build all 3 heads. Okay, there's probably no such thing as too much tricep. When number one, you're trying to get stronger at multiple presses, and you just going to want to look more jacked. Okay, you guys want to look jacked in a t-shirt, I can promise you bigger triceps are never going to hurt. It will never hinder that. It will only be helpful. So yeah, triceps are going to get a high priority, and we're going to develop the whole thing. And I started doing yesterday what I said I was going to do, doing the band press downs even on off days, right? Do some band press downs every day, do some band curls every day. So in my main training, I don't have to worry about that stuff for building connective tissue. And again, if we know triceps are a weak link on some of my pressing, like my overhead press, more tricep work is not going to be a bad thing as long as I can recover from it. Right? Not a bad thing. So we'll keep doing the press downs every session. Keep doing the press downs every session. Because I need my triceps to grow. That overhead press is not going to go up until my triceps get bigger, thicker, stronger. And a bigger muscle has more strength potential. And that's the other thing. If my triceps are weak link on my press, we can argue all day long they may not be the weak link on my closer grip benching for a max. We could make that argument all day long, but if they're a limit on my overhead press, and that means my delts are my strong point on the overhead press, my front delts are probably strong enough to close grip bench. Just saying, we need to make sure those triceps are strong, because it could very well be a weak link. Right? Could be a weak link. And all of it needs to grow. I mean, for my benching to go up, we need more pec, we need more delt, more tricep. It all needs to go up. My bench is my worst lift. So we need to address everything. And we will continue to. Keep moving forward. The same way I managed to hit all these massive PRs on the squat and the deadlift, we're going to do it for all my pressing now. Using the same strategies doesn't mean that we don't use the same lifts, obviously. Same strategies. We do these different variations, find the weak links, hypertrophy the holy hell out of those weak links. Then we find our leverages, which is what I'm doing with the benching right now. I've done that with my squatting and deadlifting again, reassess levers, have my squat levers down. That's why I'm hitting some big squats now. That's why we're getting squat PRs, learning where to place my heels, my toes, how to screw them into the ground, adjust them. Right? There's a lot to that. That matters on the squat. People don't think about things like that who don't have a big squat. You do know you need to screw your feet into the ground, right? Yeah. You do know that at a certain point in the squat, you need to externally rotate your hip. Well, if you don't know things like that, that might be why your squat's lagging. Just throwing that out there. Facepulls. 5 sets to failure, same bands. Today, instead of doing any sort of repping work, we focus on just getting back and squeezing every rep. Why? Because this movement really is about more peak contraction. The full range of motion isn't as important as up there because, again, what are we doing? We want to work the rear delts, traps, mid delts. Okay? When we're at there, we're getting that. And because we're doing very, very high volume with the band, getting that peak numerous times, in this case well over 100 times in a session, because these sets all hit 20 or more reps. Right there against that point, we're really, really hammering that area. It gets more normalized full range of motion with the rows, because we do 5 sets of rows every other day on pin lace. And this, I'm more worried about that more isometric near the top. It's still dynamic. There's still a strength curve too, but we are squeezing it really hard there. Making sure that the point where the bands are producing the most tension, that we are really emphasizing the work. Because again, that's where the rear delt comes in the most. And I mean, I feel a lot of side delt there too, which again, backed by EMG data. So the data says that it works it. I feel it. So what more do you want? I mean, people can argue all they want, say, well, that can't do anything for this head or that. It's like, well, the EMG studies show very, very, very high activation. Some of the best activation, doing the band Facepulls there. I feel it there. I mean, what more do you want? You got some studies and we have anecdote. What more could you possibly want between a study says it activates it and I really feel it? I really feel it there. So shouldn't that be good enough? It should be good enough. Anecdote plus studies, usually a pretty good combination. When they agree with each other, you're probably moving in the right direction. So yeah, we're doing them for that too. Now, obviously, rows are really a big part of this. A lot of people are like, this is all you're doing for rear delts. No, I do 15 to 20 sets of pin leg rows every week for high reps. But we still need this area to come up. It is a lagging area. It needs to grow. It needs to get bigger. And this will do it. This will do it. And this finishes off and makes sure that my shoulders get fully worked. The incline works the interior good. The overhead pressing really kind of works all of it. Obviously, people would argue more interior dominant. That's fine. Well, this is very dominant for the other heads. Okay. Honestly, between the Facepulls and the axial bar overhead presses, this is a complete shoulder workout. And it's done every 4 days. And that's not counting all the other pressing and rowing. So overall, overhead pressing was crazy today, very humbling, but all the hypertrophy work was good. We get stronger, keep moving forward. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.